for some Mazda racing around the streets of St. Pete.
31 cars came to play. It looks like we're only going to get 30 to start today.
Yes, Max Opalski of the Copeland Motorsports Group, he's car number 2, was supposed to be running today in the race. Unfortunately, a crash in qualifying damaged the chassis to the point where they could not source a replacement in time before the race begins tomorrow. The team is still working diligently to try and get Max into the race for tomorrow, but for today, ultimately, they just ran out of time. There have been quite a few cars, though, that have had damage over the course of this weekend. Chris Nunes, in the first practice session of the weekend, had a radiator hose come off, meaning he needed a new engine. Well, that was done in the second practice session, and he got back out in time for qualifying this morning. Alex Pachura missed the second practice session because he missed the crossing time. Being at St. Pete, this is one of those weekends where we are in the support paddock, and it's a little bit difficult to get to the pit lane. So if you were late, you did not get to participate. And another fun note for us, Michael Staub did not run practice 1 or practice 2 because his flight from Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he lives, was canceled Wednesday night, 5 o'clock in the evening. He and his wife, Abby, got in the car. Abby drove the overnight shift through snow, sleet, and hail, but they made it to St. Pete last night, and it meant that Michael got his first laps around the track today in the brief 20-minute qualifying session. The good news for him, though, his brother David starting right ahead of him. They are going to be running to the front together.
And a great story at the front of the field on the Mazda starting grid with a former scholarship winner taking pole position. His first pole position for JTR Motorsport.
Yep, that would be Glenn McGee, local boy Glenn McGee. He's one of the drivers who calls Florida home, one of 6 of them in the race today. But Glenn's first ever race on a street course, he gets pole not only for today's race, but tomorrow's as well, provisionally. And before Daytona, Glenn hadn't been in an MX-5 Cup car since 2016. His job coming back was to announce that he's on the scene in the first 4 races of the season. Well, he's done that so far.
So what do we expect then? It's always difficult here. It's a tricky circuit, named as 14 corners. It's not your totally typical street circuit because whilst there are some 90-degree corners, there are some sweeping bends as well. We'll talk all about that in just a few moments' time as we're ready to go live on IMSA TV all around the world and on IMSA Radio via the live video tab. Let's get ready to go racing on the streets of St. Pete's. Well, hello everybody, and particularly those of you who are joining us on the live video stream on imsaradio.com and imsa.tv. Great to have your company. It's a beautiful afternoon here on the streets of St. Pete's. John Hindhaugh and Shea Adam for round 3 of the 2022 Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup. Well, brilliant return to the IMSA paddocks over the last just over a year. This weekend, of course, sharing with the NTT IndyCar Championship. 30 cars are lining up, 30 multicoloured pocket rockets, purpose-built race cars transformed from street running MX-5s by the Fliss brothers up in Daytona, Florida. They take a standard road-going MX-5 and strip it down pretty much to its component parts. About the only thing that they don't do anything with is the engine, which is sealed. We're on the streets of St. Petersburg, 14 corners, not exactly a typical street circuit, just on 1.8 miles. The long run down the airfield runway to turn 1, always a big action area there. Then the braking area, turn 4 onto 2nd Avenue of 1st Street. And then as we run round the back, down towards turn 10 on Brayshaw Drive, another opportunity for some overtaking. Then it's the fast sweepers through 11 and 12, and then the hairpin at 13 and 14 brings you around. Shea Adam, veteran now of IMSA Radio and of Radio Le Mans, is with me. Just 30 cars. Shea, we were expecting 31. What was the story about our missing driver?
Contact in qualifying for Max Opalski and Copeland Motorsport meant that no new car, which was needed, could be found. The team is still working to try and get Max a car for tomorrow's race, but it means that the driver of the number 2 will be watching this one from the sidelines.
And as the cars roll out, we are expecting the usual brilliantly entertaining battle with 45 minutes on the clock. Let's take a quick look at the Mazda starting grid, and it's a great story at the front for a former winner of the Mazda Scholarship, taking his first pole position for JTR Motorsport. It is Glenn McGee who will start on the number 23 with pole position. Gresham Wagner, championship contender, in second place for Spark Performance on the outside of the front row. Tyler Gonzalez on the inside of row 2 in third position. The 51 from Portland Motorsport will start alongside Michael Carter from Carter Racing Enterprises in the 08 red, white and black car. Sam Paley, top rookie last year, in position 5 in the 28, no longer a black car, now a blue car from McCudley Racing. And Jared Thomas for JTR Motorsport with that distinctive yellow roll hoop in the number 96 is in 6th position. Chris Noons, Formidable Racing, is in 7th position in the 32 car. Then, to finish off the top 10, it's Caniero, Piscatel, Celine Roland for Hickson. Jensen Ultimate just outside the top 10 and 11. Joey Atanasio is the second best of the rookies after Bruno Caniero, down 8th position. And to round off the 20, it is Lee, Fasanacht, Thomas, Opalski not there. That's the car that's missing the number 2. Then Jourdain, Johnson, McIntosh and Riley for your 20. So that's how they line up. And we have got them beautifully together as they come round onto the runway. The Mazda MX-5 safety car pulls to the right-hand side and into the pit lane. We wait for the green flag for round 3 of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup for 2025. The green flag is in the air, and already people breaking out the line, and that's going to get the interest of race control. You're not supposed to break out of your ranks until you get to the start line. Down the inside is the favoured run, but going all the way around the outside, that's a very, very brave manoeuvre there in that multicoloured car. Looking further back, we'll get to the latest in a second, but did everybody get through? I think they did. A little bit of a scary moment for Moise Oreski further back, and now it's 4 wide going down into turn 4 for the first time. And just again, everybody playing well with each other at the moment. Shea Adam as they go through. Cracking start from the front row. Gonzalez was very quick across the line, and he leads it out from Paul Sittner. McGee in second, so Tyler Gonzalez from Glenn McGee, from Jared Thomas, who's come up from a couple of rows further back. Gresham Wagner about where he started, and Michael Carter. Then Sam Paley, Joey Atanasio's had a good start as well and made up some positions in 7th in that number 43 car. That's the black car with the green stripes through turn 10 on Bayshore for the first time and coming out to complete the first lap. There's been some big moves at the front of the field, Shea Adam.
Yeah, there have been. Jared Thomas, namely the first one of those, started 6th up to 2nd already and putting a lot of pressure on Tyler Gonzalez for the race lead. It should surprise no one that Celine Roland was aggressive off the start. He knows these runways very well, being a pilot who comes and frequently lands on them just for a lunch break, as you do. But the start is under review, John. Yeah. Have had that confirmed by race control. So they're not only looking at the car that jumps out of the line, but perhaps anybody making a lot of positions up early on, capitalizing on the confusion at the head of the grid.
Shea Adam alongside me, John Hindorf, as we are ready for great action this weekend, and it's already starting to boil up nicely at the front of the field. Tyler Gonzalez then from Thomas in second place. Jared Thomas with that yellow roll kit, you can always spot his car. Big dive down the inside, further back down the field. That was the Fasnacht, one of the rookies there, the McCumbee McInerney Racing, and he was right with Jensen Altman, his teammate. Now black number 15 having a look down the inside, and I think he got the position done there. and into the wall. This, if that car can't move, will be a full course yellow.
I think that's Dante Tornello, John. He's a local guy to the Tampa area as well.
Yeah, it is. Hickson Motorsports, another one of the rookies. Now, can he find reverse gear on that sequential Sadev gearbox? They're still racing at the moment through the S's toward the end of the lap. Gonzalez, Thomas, Wagner, McGee, Carter, Adanasio is the first of the rookies in 6th position. Still under green. Race control trying to let these drivers race as long and as hard as they can, and they'll be watching the situation around the back of the circuit. Lovely dive down the inside by Thomas into turn 1, and he takes the lead from the orange, black and white car of Tyler Gonzalez. So Thomas now for JTR leads it. That was a classic manoeuvre. It's so difficult to get your braking point right there because there's a change in surface at the end of the runway where the paint is, but it is Thomas that leads in that silver car. Local yellows and debris flags there, and we have got a rescue vehicle ready to go to try and pull Tornello out of the tyre wall, but the leaders here are still racing.
Yes, they are, and I did get a report, John, that Tornello actually hit another car and then hit the wall. So there was a bit more complexity to that incident than we initially saw. Jared Thomas, though, with the lead of the race after only 2 laps. We still have Tyler Gonzalez hanging on in 2nd, and then Gresham Wagner patiently waiting in 3rd. Now, why is it important to pay attention to who's leading the race? 10 points to the most laps led, in addition to 10 laps for the fastest lap of the race. So far, early days, that's Gresham Wagner getting the 10 points for the fastest lap. But right now, Jared Thomas, points leader coming into this race, is trying to stretch it out a little bit.
Michael Carter going side by side with Glenn McGee and doesn't quite get it done. And in fact, actually didn't do himself any favours there. He came under pressure from behind. Celine Roland right in there in the 87 car. That's the kind of light green and white car, and that's Celine Roland's car, looking as we saw it in the first race at Daytona. We've been used to seeing him in the Autism Speaks colours last season, but once again he is highlighting and drawing attention, Shea Adam, to another very worthy charity.
Very much so. The Austin Hatcher Foundation is represented on his car for this season. And it's a good spot, John. He did have serious damage in the first race at Daytona, resulting in him using a backup car, in essence, the car that he'd run in the year before, but with the different livery running on it. Not silver pieces, but just a simple livery. Now he's back in his normal car. It was a fairly straightforward repair needed for that machine for Hickson Motorsport. But another car that suffered massive damage at Daytona was Michael Carter in the 08, the champion from 2 years ago. Everything from the windshield forward is new on that car. Carter Racing Enterprises, which is basically Michael and his dad, as well as some other family friends, they did get the car out and test it last week before coming here, but he's been quick so far this weekend. Michael Carter, a 2-time winner on the streets of St. Pete, looking to try and make it 3.
And that was as a result of an accident post the checkered flag across the tri-oval at Daytona. And when she says everything in front of the windscreen, she means absolutely everything, including a whole brand new engine unit. Probably one of the easier things to do because that is nothing you can do with that engine. It is sealed to keep it a level playing field. The rest of the cars with more than 250 racing parts. Really great work by the track marshals and the cordon workers to get the Tornello Hickson Motorsport car pulled out of the way and behind the wall, so we stay green. Issue further down the field for the McCumbee Macalia 15 car, I think it was. Was that the Fastnax car with some tyre smoke, Shea?
Yeah, it was. Hearing reports around the track that there is tire smoke coming out from that car. He was battling very closely with Aaron Johnson, amongst others, a couple laps ago. Aiden, though, is a college student. He goes to Boston College, and he's actually missing one of his final exams by being in the race today. He has to make up for that when he gets back to Boston on Monday. So if you've been trying to find him in between sessions and haven't been able to, that's because he's been studying in between the sessions.
Yeah, and he's just, I think he's pulled that car into the pits because he's just gone a lap down on Jared Thomas, who still leads with 37.5 minutes to go. This is a time-certain race. At the moment, lap times around about 1:25, 1:26. Here comes Celine Roland down the inside of Michael Carter into the sharp braking area, and right-hander at turn 4. There's 3 wide for a moment, and that is not going to work, surely. Right in behind them there was Joey Atanasio, the best of the rookies. He's got actually the number 21 right with him, Bruno Cagnero in Hickson Motorsports, and they're battling for the rookie lead. And there is a separate championship for the rookies, and like all of the championships, Shea Adam in Idemitsu Mazda MX-5, at the end of the year, championship positions means not just bragging rights or a little bit of a partying at the end of season festivities. It means cold hard cash.
Cash money, baby. You get to walk away with a nice check that you don't necessarily have to use in racing, but why wouldn't you when you can come run in this series, which is honestly the best value in racing? $80,000 goes the way of the Rookie of the Year, and $250,000 for the champion, $80,000 for second for championship too. So that covers a full season worth of racing, which is why we don't see people moving on from this championship. You win it, you come back and have some more fun and win some more cash.
It has become a destination championship. You're absolutely right. Celine Roland just pulling out from the wall to see if he can get a better run on Glenn McGee ahead of him. Meantime, Atanasio's got ahead of the Carter Racing Enterprises car, at least across the line he was. Yeah, and that, I think, is still the case, because the blue car behind Michael Carter, the red top with the white middle and the black bottom, that's the 08 of Michael Carter and the CRE machine, and the beautiful dark blue Hickson Motorsport 21 behind is Bruno Cagnero, and he's gone past as well. So I think there's a problem for Michael Carter here. He's dropping positions at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely something not right with that 08 machine. I've just sent a text out to my minions to try and get some more information on that. Looking at the pace of the race so far, though, Bruno Cagnero with the fastest lap of the race. Now, it doesn't get you any bonus rookie points, but it is still 10 points. Long way to go yet. There's a lot of fuel to burn off, and Celine Roland is trying to talk to Cagnero right now to say, hey, let's work together. Not sure if Bruno knows what he's saying, though.
Yeah, well, he's just gone by Celine Roland coming out the final corner onto the runway straight. Got by and therefore up into 4th position. Glenn McGee, who started on pole position, let's not forget, so he's got some 1-lap pace in that car. And there was a bit of hand signalling going on from Celine Roland for Hickson, and I meant that in the nicest possible way. It was nothing threatening or in any way defamatory, but he was basically waving forward and saying, look, let's stop fighting because the leaders are getting away. Tuck in behind me, I'll drag you back to the lead 3, which is Jared Thomas leading from Tyler Gonzalez 2nd and Gresham Wagner 3rd. And that's exactly what is happening at the moment, because that lighter coloured car in 4th position is beginning to close the gap on the 3 leaders. So it's the silver car with the yellow roll hoop that leads. Behind that, multicoloured in the Copeland style, but with the predominant colour being bright orange. That's the 2nd place Tyler Gonzalez. As they come onto the runway straight, the number 5 is the 3rd place car, and that is the black, substantially black car, but with the orange and green flashes right across the bonnet, the hood. Then there's a little gap back to Celine Roland, and he's just breaking away from McGee. Then it's the black with the bright green stripes on, and that's Joey Atanasio. Behind him, it's Cagnero. then Sam Pearley, Chris News, and Michael Carter, Adam, who we expected to be at the sharp end of the field, is now behind that Soul Red Crystal car of Chris Noons. Carter in the 08 is down to 10th position.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm really surprised that Chris Noons is so far down too. Last year at St. Pete was the site of his first ever podium in this series. He did go on to get a win later on as the championship went along. But for Chris Noons and Michael Carter to be running down at 9th and 10th, I would have lost a lot of money on that if you told me that earlier in the day.
We're still plenty of racing to go, with still plenty of racing to go. 32.5 minutes to go. It is the third round of the 2022 season of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Championship, a championship that will see our competitors racing again here tomorrow, and then for the rest of the season, mostly with IMSA, finishing up at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for Motul Petit Le Mans. But in the middle, they are going to go and do a bit of NASCAR support racing at Road America, and these cars are brilliant at Road America. Off and in the dust is the Hickson number 65.
Cornet.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a car that was just on the outskirts of the top 20, and now I'm not sure that one is going to be moved easier. So Bryce Cornet, the man from Norman, Oklahoma. At the moment, we're still green with just over 31 minutes still to go, and still with Jared Thomas passing the scene of the earlier accident. Tornello's car behind him now, and behind the wall, well out of harm's way. Sweeping onto Bayshore Drive and down towards turn 10, where the wall seems to come to meet you on the right-hand side when you make that left-hand turn. It's where they are now. Top three about to be joined by Celine Roland for Hickson Motorsport. Still green. And now full course yellow.
Yep, yellow.
Yellows are out just as they come to the scene of the problem for Bryce Cornet. And this is going to make things very interesting indeed. Celine Roland then will close right up. So will Glenn McGee, so will Cañero and Atanasio. Sam Pearley in that dark blue car, the number 28.
This is what we call chumming the water, isn't it, John?
Oof,
bringing all the cars back together again like this?
To use a fishing term, yes, I think you'd be absolutely right. What a perfect way to describe it. Everyone is going to be back together.
Boat.
I think that's going to need some assistance to get Bryce Cornet out of his issue. The car is dug down. I don't think it's had that big a hit, if I'm honest, Shay, into the tyres. Looks like he missed his braking point. The tyres, the banded tyres, right in the middle of and between turns 13 and 14, absolutely have done their job, and he's sort of bounced off them a little bit, but he's dug down through the top of the turf, and it may be that I can't see on the left-hand side of that Hickson Motorsports number 65 that he's got some steering damage to the left front, but he's staying in the car. Earlier on, it was the other. It's not been a good run for Hickson, has it? Because the other car that's out of this race and has more damage was the Tornello car. Oh, and he got hit by... Now, well, that's very interesting, because he got hit. Well done to our replay team. Was that the...
And that was the 76 of Matthew Dirks, John.
Yeah.
That's one of the MMR cars.
Yeah.
But actually, that car had a penalty called on it right before we went to full course yellow. That was the car that we saw that pulled out of line at the start of the race. So for Matthew Dirks, it's been an eventful one for all the wrong reasons. But as you very rightly say, Hickson Motorsports not having a good showing this weekend yet so far anyway. And it all started, if you would believe it, with Andrew Carbonell, who is the coach for that team and a Mazda staple for many years. He got the blue flashing lights behind him on the way to the track the other day to kick things off. So perhaps that was a bad omen for the team.
So full course yellow for the number 65 Hickson Motorsport MX-5. There is some panel damage to the left-hand side. I suspect that we're going to see Bryce Cornet pull straight into the pit lane and retire that car to give the guys a chance to assess the damage and get working on that car. They can't, of course, Shea, take it back to their paddock area because the layout here means that there's an opening that they've got to go through. They would have to go through to the other side of the track, effectively on the other side of the airfield.
Yeah, and being 30 minutes left in the race, less than that, they don't have time to fix anything and really get him back out. But it's been a bit of a rough start for the scholarship guy who was second coming into this season. So he did come in with a bit of money. I think it was an $80,000 check for that, because it's $100,000 for the scholarship winner. But he did wind up with a 13th and a 10th in the 2 races at Daytona. Not what Bryce had hoped for. Very, very nice young man, though. He is going to be somebody to watch as the season progresses. But so far, it hasn't exactly gone as you would have hoped.
Cleanup has almost been completed, and in fact, as we saw, Bryce has gone into the pit lane, so we should be going back to green flag racing fairly shortly.
There we go.
Flag is in the air, and we are back to racing in round 3 of the 2022 Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup here on the streets and the airport runway of St. Petersburg. The first of 2 races here this weekend. Celine Roland goes to the right, then to the left. Huge dive down the inside by Gresham Wagner, but he can't get the car stopped, and he'll give the place back. It was second place he was trying for. He had it for maybe 15-20 yards, but that was it, as Tyler Gonzalez does the old over and under. And now everybody's spreading out. 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4 wide, going down into turn 4. And it's Gresham Wagner who's under pressure there, just going wide. Glenn McGee getting pushed out in the white car with the multicoloured flashes and the iRacing logo on the hood. So he's lost a couple of spots there as well. Remember, he started on pole position some 20 minutes ago after a great qualifying session for the relatively local driver. Thomas and Gonzalez are pulling away from 3rd place. Gresham Wagner, and here comes Celine Roland, just looks to the left. Now got Bruno Caniero right behind him. Sam Pearley in the distinctive blue car right in there as well. 72 making a move further down. Connor Zilic.
Wow.
What a drive from Connor. Connor managed to get up the inside at turn 10 there. That's moved him up a position. I think that was Aaron Johnson that he went past for 11th position, Shea.
It was, and that's this year's scholarship winner making a move on last year's scholarship winner, Connor Zilic, who had a bit of a scary moment in practice, but managed to pull it all back together and get the car in one piece to start the race. He's looking further up the field. His next target, Michael Carter. It's not going to be easy to get around Michael.
Coming down to half distance on time. We started with 45 minutes on the track, just under 25 to go, so we're probably a lap, maybe 2 away from half distance. Starting to get a little more serious at the front. I believe the leading pair, Jared Thomas and Tyler Gonzalez, have started to work together here. It looked to me as though Tyler Gonzalez has stopped moving around behind Thomas, and he's sitting there. It is a fact of aerodynamics that 2 cars can go quicker than 1, and if they're very close, particularly with these open top Mazda MX-5 Cup cars, they do make quite a big hole in the air, and you can effectively have an aerodynamic push. And these cars, well, drafting is so important. It's a massively important skill for these young drivers to learn.
I believe that Jared Thomas now has the most laps led wrapped up for this race, because even if Tyler Gonzalez gets to the front now and leads the rest of the laps, it still wouldn't be enough time to surpass what Jared Thomas has already accomplished. So that means that Jared Thomas, who came into this race having led the most laps on the season, will continue that streak. And speaking of streaks, each of the last race weekends, going back to last year at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Jared Thomas won 1 of the races. Is he going to keep that streak alive today?
Great work again by our recovery crews that have kept the yellow flag period, the full course yellow, down to a minimum. As ever, there are battles right the way through the feed. Looked like Jensen Altman was getting pushed around a little bit further back down the field. And that was another one of the rookies in the 31, the bright orange number 31, Jameson Riley for Copeland Motorsports. That's a position made up by Riley. Fourth at the moment as far as the rookies standings are going in this race. I still can't believe Michael Carter was in amongst that scrap as well. So there's clearly, it's not all wine and roses for the former champion, and the Carter Racing Enterprises number 08, after all that hard work, not racing as well as Michael would like it to. Wants to keep the car together though, because we do have another chance tomorrow, racing a little earlier in the day, and we'll have that live for you as well. No blocks, no breaks. IMSA.tv, IMSARadio.com via the live video tab, and also at racer.com. So the leading pair with what in Mazda MX-5 terms is actually a comfortable lead at the moment. It's probably only about 10 car lengths, but we're talking about a second, maybe a little more than that. 1.2, 1.3 as they went across the line. But that is a decent lead. Roland pulls out from behind Gresham Wagner in that lighter coloured car. The pace that's been set at the front is very impressive. 1:25.2, the best lap of the race for Glenn McGee in the JTR Motorsports car, but he's languishing down in 9th position after starting on the front row.
And the pace of the front runners, John, Thomas did a 25.2 that last lap around, Gonzalez 25.3, Wagner 25.4. They're all doing their personal best laps as the race goes on. Yes, the cars are getting lighter as the fuel burns off, but also the BF Goodriches are being stressed a little bit more each lap as we go through. So in terms of best lap, Glenn McGee still holds on to that, but for how much longer?
Yeah, very good point. Very good point indeed. The tyres just getting a little bit of a little bit of a respite during that full course yellow. The BF Goodrich rubber, full race rubber here. This car's fairly sophisticated with the Multimatic DSV suspension. Now that looked like Gonzalez going slowly. Is that Gonzalez going slowly?
I think it is.
It is. It's the 41 car coming round through turn 1 into turn 2. I don't think he was hit, but Gonzalez, the 51 car, is plummeting down the timing and scoring serial. That's a disaster for the man who was so close to a victory at Daytona when he dropped right down to the bottom of the track.
Well, he did win the first race of the season, John. He was the victor in that first race at Daytona, and then 20th in the second race. A disaster in the second race, which ultimately dropped him down to 3rd in points coming into today. He was looking good to try and maintain or at least jump ahead of Gresham Wagner in the championship. Not going to be that way after the end of today's race.
Absolutely hammering the steering wheel in frustration and disgust, and that's left Jared Thomas out on his own. Now you might think that's great.
Nope.
But that means that Gresham Wagner and Celine Roland have got a chance to drag back up to him side by side behind further down the field, as a big battle for some of the minor places. That's Moise Ureski's right in amongst that.
And Moise has the expertise, John, of already having run in a race today around the streets of St. Pete in a GT4 car. His first time in that car, and he got a podium. So Moise Ureski running on a high. New livery on that car for this year with the Bull, but it is still the same, the Cumby McLaren team behind him. Yeah,
I think he was having a battle with Woody Hyman, wasn't he? The JTR car, and ahead of them is the number 88, and that is Sean Varvig. Yeah. The man from Illinois in the JTR. You'll notice that we're mentioning the same names of teams over and over again. There are some real super teams here running multiple cars. JTR, Hickson, McCumbee, McAleer Racing, full course yellow. Full course yellow. Now I can only presume this is for Tyler Gonzalez, who has not got his car back to the pit lane. Yellow flags are out around the circuit, double yellows, with just on 18 minutes to go. It's our second full course yellow, and indeed, my fears have been confirmed that Gonzalez, I can't see any damage on his car. I think also from his demeanour behind the wheel, Shea, and the frustration he was showing, I think that's some kind of mechanical or engineering issue on that car. It's so unusual if that's the case. These cars are normally bulletproof, but I don't think he's got drive on that car, so there's either no engine or no drive.
Yeah, the radio message that I got was it's a transmission issue for Gonzalez. That's what he radioed in. So unfortunately, that day is over for him, and he's going to drop way down the championship hunt because there are still, 26 cars running?
If you want to follow along on the timing and scoring, our colleagues at Alcamel have all that for you. If you just search for Alcamel IMSA, you'll get the live timing. I won't read you out the full URL. I'm sure you can find that yourself. Or, of course, you can go to imsa.com and follow the links from there as well. There's live timing and there's a positional chart as well, the dancing ants. So Gonzalez down into turn one looked fine. There was a little bit of a little wobble coming out of turn one, and I think transmission's a good shout. I think as he was shifting back up again, he's maybe lost drive there. Quick look at some of the other drivers. What a drive it's been for Michael Starb, who had very little opportunity, Shea, to drive the circuit in practice. In fact, only got out in qualifying with a real planes, trains and automobiles trek to the track.
Yeah, very much so. Poor Michael. He lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he found out on Wednesday that he was not going to be able to fly to the track, so he and his wife, Abby, drove here. Abby doing the grunt work, driving through the night as we go back to green, through the snow and the sleet. Well, Michael has gained 7 positions so far. He told me before the race began that he was going for the Hard Charger Award, passing the most cars. Here's another opportunity.
So another good jump from the front. This time, the car in front did get the advantage, Jared Thomas, and immediately the battle has resumed for second on down. I know Sam Pearley's right in there as well with the blue car. Here comes, big defensive move by Gresham Wagner. He's in the middle of the track going towards turn 4, the right-hander into the chicane area. Normally you'd say it's follow my leader through there, but this is Idemitsu Mazda MX-5, so they'll find room to go side by side pretty much anywhere. Defying the laws of physics, it seems to me at times. Position made up there, I think, by Chris Nunes, who was pushing his way through. No, he's still behind Pearley. So Thomas, Wagner, Roland, Cañero, the best of the rookies in the number 21 car, just sitting right in behind Celine Roland in that red, white and black car. 72, Connor Zilic now up inside the top 10, and he's just gone by Glenn McGee, I think. So that's a position for him. He's third in the running as far as the rookies are concerned. It's Cañero from Adanasio, 4th and 6th overall, and then I think 8th overall now as they go across the line. I'll confirm that. Connor Zilic is the third of the rookies. Under 15 minutes to go, Shea. We're into the last third of the race.
Jared Thomas making a break for it yet again, stretching out a lead, trying to get away from Gresham Wagner, but more importantly, get away from Celine Roland, the guy who won here last year in one of the 2 races. Michael Carter a bit further back is the other race winner, not looking like he's going to be contending for the win here today, possibly tomorrow, but Celine Roland is somebody who, if he gets a sniff of a win, he's going to go for it, and Gresham Wagner knows it. That's why he was being so aggressive through this complex of the track the last time around, but no attack being mounted as of yet. Connor Zilic, though, with that pass on Glenn McGee, what an impressive move from this young man who does make aggressive statements like that to let everyone else know he's here, and he's here to get to the front.
And he's not just playing in the rookie ranks either. We've seen him right at the very front end of the field. We saw him in his first races in the big show at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta at the last event of last year, and he proved, I think, there that he has worked his apprenticeship and he's ready to go and play in the big leagues, and that's what he's doing. I had him marked out as a championship contender for the overall this year, and certainly for the rookies as well, and he's living up to that. Strangely, I haven't completely cursed him, so that's normally what happens when I mention anybody's name. Sam Paley pulls out a line in the dark blue car going down the runway straight towards turn 1. But again, Thomas just a tenth or so quicker and pulls out to almost a full second. Michael Carter in defensive mode as he's sitting in 10th with Aaron Johnson, Justin Piscatel there as well. Then it's Riley, Altsman, Jordan, Lee, Warwick, Moishe Aretsky, Uniheimen and Staub for the top 20. Side by side again. And again, it's the Riley car, that bright yellow car. You can't miss that one. And again, it's the battle between him and Altsman. 13th and 14th position they're battling for. The 31 of Jameson Riley holding that position. Who's that in behind them at the moment? That is Jordan, isn't it? Yes, with that light blue coloured car. Scraps as if it was the last lap of the championship all the way through the field. This is typical Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup racing. In fact, in some ways, I'd say, Shay, that we're seeing perhaps a little less aggression, believe it or not. And people watching this, if you're watching it for the first time, you might think I've absolutely lost my mind here. But there's no room for error here, and everybody wants to get to the next race tomorrow here. So there will be, I think, being slightly more conservative than usual.
I would completely agree with that, John, and we've actually seen a bit more level-headedness. That whole complex, though, that Jameson Riley was a part of was brought on by the pass that Aaron Johnson made on him going into turn 4. It was a brilliant maneuver as Riley loses the back end of his car, manages to gather it back together, but that's going to open an opportunity for Altsman into turn 2. Not quite close enough to make any sort of aggressive move, but you're right. The
hang on a second, Shay.
Lunges is what we're used to in this series.
Oh, certainly is. I thought Altsman was going to pull out there, and Jordan is right in there as well, trying to find a way through. These three slowing themselves down. Then it's the gold-coloured car, the gold wrap on that car really standing out. That's Rossi Lee for Spark Performance. Can't miss that one in the paddock or on the track. Michael Carter still struggling in 10th position, 25.4 last time around. That's only a tenth away, under a tenth, half a tenth away from the leader's pace, but he's lost nearly 5 seconds to the leader. And more to the point, there are 9 other cars between him and the front of the field, and that's not where I expected him to be. Chris Nunes, who we were expecting to be further up the field, well, since the restart, he's up to 5th now, so that's much more where we'd expect that dark soul red crystal car to be, Shay.
Particularly considering coming into this race, he was 2nd in the championship and only 30 points behind his teammate from last year. That would be Jared Thomas. Well, Jared has led almost every lap of this race, so he's going to get 10 additional points. And if he can hang on and get the win, that's going to pad it out even further. So Jared Thomas, if he stays where he is, and albeit we have 9.5 minutes to go, and there's no guarantee that'll happen, he will extend his championship lead. But Chris Nunes helping his argument by moving up front even further. Celine Roland, though, stands to benefit the most from anybody. He should move up to 2nd in the championship if all stays as is.
So he doesn't have to make those big moves. He can try and do something in the second race. Another position lost for Michael Carter is Justin Piscatel in the Macumbi Macaleer Racing. The light blue car with the yellow wheels, that one. That's how you can spot that one. It's another car with a coloured roll hoop. But it's the yellow wheels that really makes that one stand out. Justin up to 10th position, Michael Carter down to 11th, and just about 9/10 of a second ahead of Aaron Johnson for Spark in the 12th position. 8.5 minutes to go. Beautiful day. Remember, St. Pete's is the place you come for sunshine. If there's a day without sunshine, the local paper is free, and they haven't given away many in the last 100 odd years that publication has been running. Side-by-side action for 2nd position. Check that for 3rd position as Cañero has putting pressure on Celine Roland. Now this is exactly not what Celine Roland wants. Shay just saying that he could move up the championship standing, but he's got an angry horde of MX-5 drivers right in behind him, and coming through the number 32, Chris Noons, up to 4th position, and now he's right on the back bumper of 3rd place driver Celine Roland, who's dropped away. He's had to defend, and as soon as he drops away, immediately there's a single line of cars sitting in beside him, all the way down to Justin Piscatel in 10th position, 3rd to 10th, all nose to tail to nose to tail.
And Carniero was the big loser out of all that. He lost 2 positions as Chris Noons snuck past. Noons getting very loose at the end of the back straight. It opens the door for Attanasio, who now looks around the outside and gets that position. Is Carniero going to be able to get Noons back, though? Doesn't look like it. Looks like Chris is hanging on for now.
That was a lovely opportunist manoeuvre by Joey Attanasio. He's the best of the rookies, and he's put Chris Noons between himself and Bruno Carniero, who's the 2nd of the rookies. Then Connor Zilic, the 3rd of the rookies. So all the top 3 positions in the rookie race are all together and running inside the top 7 of the race as a whole. That's how good the rookies are here. Sam Paley just getting shuffled back a little bit in the last couple of laps. He's still ahead of Glenn McGee. Piscatel in 10th. Michael Carter at 11th, trying to get back on terms with that little gaggle ahead of him, and he's almost there. And I think he might be dragging, is that Aaron Johnson in behind him? Yes, I think it is. The Spark Performance.
Now, Joey Attanasio is running as a rookie this year, John, but he did make 2 starts last year at the first round of the championship and earned a podium in his 2nd start. So Attanasio, we know, is capable of getting up in the top 3 positions.
Coming down to the part of the race where the performance that you've got left in your car has got to be made to work, and down the inside at turn 10, brilliant manoeuvre by Connor Zilic. He goes up 1 position. This is a rookie that's driving like a veteran. Couple of races under his belt from the last round of last year, having stepped up, won the scholarship, put the money towards a full season in the main championship of Idemitsu MX-5. Thomas leads by nearly a full second from Gresham Wagner. Celine Roland has managed to shake off all bar 1 of his pursuers. Joey Attanasio, who leads the rookie battle here. And then there's a bit of a gap to Connor Zilic, now in 5th, ahead of Carniero. So he's now 2nd of the rookies. Then Carniero in 6th. Chris Noons, in fact, has just gone by Carniero, so they're still having the scrap. No, that's yes, that is true. Yeah.
And Paley's all over him now too, John. Carniero has his hands full.
Paley's gone through. That was a lovely manoeuvre as he was on the far side of the circuit. Got that done between 7 and 8. So down at the end of Beach Street before he turned onto Central Avenue and then turned right again onto Bayshore Drive. These cars are very nimble. They'll communicate to you exactly what's going on. Big red glow on the brake disc at the front of Sam Paley's blue number 28 Mazda as he goes past as well, and that's another position lost from Carniero. His performance dropping off in the last 6 or 7 minutes of the race, and that might not be the last position he loses, because here round the outside of the final corner comes Piscatel. Piscatel trying to fight his way through. Johnson's in there.
Yeah.
McGee's gone past Carniero as well. So all of a sudden the pace has gone from the Hickson Motorsport number 21 car, and Bruno Carniero, who a lap and a half ago was in the top 5, is now down to 9th position.
Might have used up his tires a little bit too early, John. We did see him very aggressive on the curbing, especially early on. So it could be that now there's nothing that he has left to fight with, as Aaron Johnson looking to make another move, the future star racing on the side of his car this weekend. And then Jameson Riley as well. So a lot of cars waiting for the opportunity to pass Carniero. Was that Zilic just going slowly at the top of our screen?
Oh, don't tell me it's another issue.
No, I think he regained speed, but Chris Noons and Connor Zilic looked like they were right in lockstep for a second. And Noons has got around Zilic.
Yeah, you're right. Noons has got around Zilic. and that puts Chris Noons up into 5th position. So the two formidable racing, what a great name for a racing team, formidable racing team. Joey Atanasio leading, the rookie leading the master there. Chris Noons sitting in behind. There's a lot of respect between all these drivers as we head towards the last couple of laps. Oh, and as I say that, there's contact. That's the first major contact that we've seen, and that's going to be damage to the bright yellow number 31. That's Jamison Riley for Spark Performance, and that was contact with, that was Aaron Johnson, I think, yeah. And now
Bruno Carniero way deep in turn 1, going to visit rooftop right, and I'm sure Ray will be a little bit nervous at that one, but he does manage to recover and keep it on the road ahead of Jameson Riley. But yes, that was contact between he and Aaron Johnson. Both of them were able to continue. I'm sure race control will have an edict here shortly from them. And hello, by the way, to Mr. John Doonan, who's up in the race control enjoying this Mazda race.
President of IMSA and great aficionado of all things exciting racing, and particularly all things Mazda, of course. In a former life, he was the man looking after Mazda, and I know how pleased he is to have this championship back on the IMSA docket for most of the season. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Bruno Carniero may have burned his tyres out, but I think he's burned his brakes out.
Good call.
I forget every time we come here how hard this circuit is on brakes for any racing cars that's around here. There's a couple of really big stops from high speed. Yes, it's a racing circuit. As I said on the track guide, it's not your usual pointy squirty stoppy gooey type of racetrack. There are some high speed sections, and particularly as you're coming down the runway straight towards the first corner, that's a big stop. You've got the same going down First Street before you turn right onto 2nd Avenue at turn 4. It's another bold manoeuvre round the outside by Jameson Riley. Inside the top 10 now, and goes to 9th position in that bright yellow number 31. I did not see the white flag, so it'll be white flag next time by. Thank you, Shay.
Yep.
50 seconds on the clock, 50 seconds on the clock. So once the clock goes down, then you'll see the white flag come out. So we're going to give you a little bit more than the advertised 45 minutes of racing here. Is that going to be enough for Jameson Riley to get up the road and maybe catch Glenn McGee? I don't think so. Thomas leads by 1.5 seconds. Then there's a couple of seconds back from Wagner in second to Roland in third. Another dive down the inside by Chris Noons. This time he was defending at turn number 10. He's very, very late on the brakes there, and Sam Paley and Connor Zilic are right with him. That's the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th. There is the white flag at round 2. Time will expire in 5 seconds, so we are now on the final lap, and Jared Thomas with a 1.7 second lead. This has been a fabulous run from Jared. This is not MX-5 racing as we know it. 1.7 seconds was pretty much the gap between first and second for every single race last year. I mean, cumulatively, if you added them all together.
Yeah, I think our total, John, was 6.6 by the end of the season after 14 races. So all of the Mazda statisticians are going to be very upset with Jared Thomas for blowing out the stats this much, if indeed it stays that way. Gresham Wagner, though, is still charging, and he gained a 10th back on the leader through the first sector alone.
Change at the bottom of the top 10. Bruno Carniero has got by Jameson Riley, and that is a battle for position and the third step on the box for the rookies in this race. So the red, white and black car ahead of the yellow and black car. They're going on to Bayshore for the final time, and that's for third position in the rookie race. First position in the overall is Jared Thomas. He's got just the final 2 right-handed corners. Sun will be in his eyes. He won't mind that at all. He can see the checkered flag being ready, and the VP Racing Fuel checkered flag is waved. Right on the line, the lights flashing, and Jared Thomas for JTR wins round 3, the first of 2 challenges around the streets of St. Pete's this weekend for the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 2022 season. Gresham Wagner takes good points in second place for his championship charge. Celine Roland in third. He'll move up unofficially, we think, to second in the championship with that third place finish there.
He will for sure, John, because he was 50 points behind Nunes, and Nunes finishing well outside of the top 20 with Celine Roland.
No. Nunes is in fifth.
Oh, sorry, Nunes in fifth. Yes, it should still be a swing in terms of Roland. I think 40 points. It's going to be close. I'm going to have to do the math on that one. But we had a bad last lap for two drivers in particular, John. We had John Joe Duane spin on his own in turn 4, and he was still there at the checkered flag. And then Connor Zilic, a terrible last lap. He comes home in 17th, and he goes from being amongst the top of the rookies to down in 5th in the rookie standings once again.
He was second in the rookie race there. So that means Bruno Cañero is second now. And Jemison Riley gets third in the rookie standings in 10th position overall. No doubt about our winner got to the front and controlled the race. Jared Thomas, JTR Motorsport, heading towards pit lane. That's a cracking race. Led most laps. Didn't get the fastest lap. That, I think, went to Justin Piscatel. Yes, it did. Just a couple of laps after the final restart. So plenty of points haul for Jared Thomas and JTR Motorsport, who comes home and wins round 3 of the 2022 Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Championship from Gresham Wagner for Spark Performance in the number 5 car in second, and Celine Roland making a move at the top of the championship standings for Hickson Motorsport, the 87 car. That's the only real little ray of light for Hickson, who lost 2 cars early on with the Tornello car behind the wall, and then Cornet bringing out the full course yellow, but at least Bryce did get that car back to the pit lane, but he didn't go much further. We only, I think, no, Cornet did get that car back going again. So it looks to me as though we had 25 finishes. Shea has done the points unofficially. Here's the Mazda point standings.
Okay, we've got 990 points for Jared Thomas as he holds on to that championship lead. In second, it's still Chris Nunes, but it could not be tighter. He has 860 points to now 850 for Celine Roland. And then there's a gap back to third place because Joey Attanasio, coming home with his 4th place finish, now is up with 770 points. Gresham Wagner, by my count, will be 5th on 750, and then should be Connor Zilic, but I'm not quite sure how many he's got. Actually, it might be Bruno Cañero at this stage. I'll have to keep doing the math.
Yeah, and don't forget Joey Attanasio, lofty position in the overall championship, and he's a rookie. Great drive by Jared Thomas. Rightly gets the congratulations of his JTR team. And JT is Jared Thomas and the R is Racing. So very much involved in the team, as well as being the nut behind the wheel. So let's just confirm the standings then. Unofficial at this point, of course. Jared Thomas for JTR wins from Gresham Wagner in second for Spark Performance. Celine Roland is third for Hickson Motorsports. Then Joey Attanasio in 4th is the best of the rookies for Formidable. His teammate Chris Nunes in 5th position in the number 32. Sam Paley is the best of the McCumbee Macaleer Racing cars in that race. The blue number 28 coming home in 6th from Justin Piscatel, his teammate, the number 89 in 7th. Glenn McGee started on pole position. He's the second of the JTR cars home in 8th position ahead of Bruno Cañero, who's the second of the rookies, and Hickson inside the top 10. And then it's Jemison Riley in 10th position for Copeland Motorsport, and he completes the rookie podium. Cracking race, Shea. Lots of talking points there, and we'll do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah, in completely different conditions once again, because the morning brings a little bit of chilly, a little bit of dew to the air, and a lot different light. So it's going to be a completely different experience than what we had tonight. And, oh yeah, the drivers don't need to preserve their cars for the next round.
Fantastic action right from the drop of the green flag. Jared Thomas with the pace right the way through the race. Bad luck for Tornello, who was heaved off early on, and that Hickson Motorsport car will need a little bit of remedial action. But Thomas paced himself brilliantly well. And Cornet with an issue at the 13-14 area that brought out the second full course yellow. And to the flag, Jared Thomas kept his car in one piece and kept everybody behind him. Thanks to Shea Adam, I'm John Hindhaugh. We'll do it all again tomorrow. It's live, it's free, there's no blocks or breaks on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV.